What's your favorite story from Brazil?
Oh, snap. My favorite story from Brazil. Oh my God, too many ones. Favorites. Give it a little, narrow the topic down a little bit for me.
You can go wherever you want. I'll let you go.
All right.
Do the topic.
I'll tell you a good one with Danny Do Nothing and I. So there's this city in this neighborhood in Rio called Cidade de Deus. They made the movie about it. It's like a super dangerous drug lord run one. And Danny have bought a French military Jeep, looked like a mini Hummer when we were living down in Brazil. And we drove that thing everywhere. We went way up into the north, and then we drove almost all the way to the south end of Brazil, and we would stop and do jiu-jitsu and surf all up and down the coast and get in trouble and get in fights. Anyways, one day we're driving through Rio, and we got super lost, right? No Siri back then, no Waze, no nothing. You barely read the maps, you know? And then all of a sudden we found out, we like turned out and we were like, oh, shit. We're in Cidade de Deus. We have no idea how to get out if we're on the road going deeper or if we're on the road going back, you know? And we started to see all the drug dealer dudes covered in chains and everything. And this is a convertible Jeep with two blonde guys driving through Brazil. And once we kind of figured out from some of the signs where we were, I was like, Danny, no matter what, don't stop driving, dude. Just keep your eyes straight forward. And then Pete the Greek like taught us this stuff. He's like, anytime you get worried in Brazil, you make contact with a Brazilian, just go, give him the thumbs up. So we stopped at a light, and there was like all these people looking at him. I just turned around, I'm like, yeah, what's up? And Danny reached down to his iPod and started putting on some Brazilian funky music that they used to play at all the ghettos and like turned it up. I'm like, dude, run the red light. Just go, dude. Just go. Yeah, we escaped out of that. It was pretty good. But there's too many. There's like 3 or 4 movies just in the life and times in Brazil. Most people won't even believe 70% of the stories of what happened down there.
Well, you spent 3 years, all right?
Spent 3 years there. Made the cover of made the cover of the largest newspaper in there.
What
got put on TV?
Tell that story.
Oh man, that's kind of a long one. Well, so where do I start with this one? The short version of the story was basically that I wrote an article about coming down to Brazil and like all the guys meeting all the girls down in Brazil, and it seemed to piss off some of the local jiu-jitsu guys. And what would happen was that Danny and I had this house.
Which guys did it piss off?
The Gracie guys.
Like the Gracie Baja?
Gracie Baja,
Okay.
yeah. And, but like a lot of it, like it was just like a cultural thing they didn't really get. So first of all, I was living right outside New York City with Paul 70 when we were in our teens, and we were going to nightclubs, you know, when I was like 15, 16, 17, and we had to learn how to get into New York City nightclubs. And then Danny comes down, and we had this penthouse right by the beach and stuff. And the way we afforded to live down there was to rent out rooms. We were Airbnb before Airbnb existed. And so all these guys would come down and train and stuff. Like one Worlds, I had 17 guys sleeping at my house to compete in Worlds on the mats, on the couches, everywhere. Of course, they come down for vacation. They want to go out and party. They go out, they meet girls. I spoke Portuguese. They didn't. I did a lot of translating. And then even when I didn't have money to go out, they were like, I'll pay for you. I'll pay for you. And so really quickly, I figured out how to get into the nightclubs there. And it's just really by being nice, remembering names, and creating a little reciprocity, bring them some CDs and new music and stuff, tell them how great their parties were. So we started getting into all these, just cutting the line at every nightclub in Brazil. And then, you know, when you have all these guys come stay, they go out, they meet girls, they come back to my house. I see them at the club. I'm easy to spot. I'm like the only blonde guy in the whole nightclub. And so these guys would get tables, and then I'd see groups of girls that were friends of the other guys that came, and they'd be like, can I sit at your table? And that'd be cool. So pretty soon we'd have like 20 girls sitting at our table, and these guys would get pissed. They would see us like walk right into the front of the club. They would go in there, and there would be like 20 girls at the table. And, you know, that basically led to, you know, Gracie Magazine reprinting one of the articles from onthemat.com. But when they reprinted it, It wasn't about going out. They made it really like more nasty and more disrespectful. Like they changed up a lot of the wording to say it on there. Then when that magazine came out, it got picked up by like one of the largest talk radio shows there, and then a morning talk TV show. And somehow this talk TV show found a video of me dancing in a group of girls at this nightclub. So that was on TV. And then Ogia, the biggest newspaper down there, ran a front cover story with my picture holding up a glass of champagne. It said Yankee Conquistador over my head. And they were interviewing all these locals about what they thought about me and stuff. And so it got a little heated there for a minute, man. People were coming up and talking shit to me at restaurants and stuff. But in the end, it just made things worse because then girls would come up and recognize me and ask me if I was the Yankee Conquistador. And I'd be like, yeah, sure. Sit down at the table. You want a drink?